Hey everybody, it's Kelly Cooper and welcome to another Facebook Live video. Today I want to be talking about one of our biggest energetic issues that really isn't accounted for in the theory of manifesting. As a lot of you know, I really like to focus on the theory versus reality because that human factor, what I like to call it, brings a lot to the table that theory really isn't addressing, right? In theory, your only problem might be that you're not aware of the law of attraction. You don't know that you create your reality. Right now, you know this information. You know your energy has this importance in your life. You believe that's how it works. And then you activate the positive energy that's a match to what you want. You believe it's possible. There's some mention of limiting beliefs, of course, but it's, you know what I'm saying? So really, right, so in theory, all of this other stuff, all these real world conditions, like any other theory, is not being taken into account as far as making these transformations. And again, this human factor, we're bringing a lot of other stuff to the table that we kind of have to work on. And don't be discouraged or disheartened by that and think, oh my God, I have all these problems. No. At the core, all of our separate issues that seem separate, at the core, they're kind of energetically, there's some core issues that you resolve that and all this other stuff just takes care of itself. But this is one of the big issues that, again, theory is not taking into account. Your main problem might not be that you don't think you can have what you want. It might be that a very big part of you, even if you're not conscious of it, doesn't want what you want. It doesn't want it. It's not interested. And again, it's hard to attract something you consciously want if a part of you doesn't want it. Because if you truly don't want it, then your reality will arrange itself in such a way where this thing doesn't show up. You'll be inspired to do things that keep it from you. You'll be inspired to focus in ways that make you think, right? Everything, that core energy will dictate a reality that where you're not going to have it, right? So you have to think about, if you're struggling, especially, you think you're doing all this work and you're being positive and you think you're aligned or whatever, you think you feel good, whatever, and you think you're doing everything right. This is a question to ask yourself. Is there a part of you that doesn't want what you want? Are you being served by your unwanted circumstances somehow? And consciously, your mind's going to get mad. Part of your mind's going to get very mad at this because it's going to be like, how dare they suggest that I want to struggle with money and I want to be single and I want to be overweight and I want to be sick and blah, blah. I want my shitty job. No one's saying that. But what I am saying is, again, there's a part of us, it's kind of weird, it's kind of fucked up, it operates under some really weird fears and really weird beliefs and really weird assumptions about how the world works, and that part of you sees your circumstances now as benefiting you somehow, as protecting you, as serving you somehow, and again, the thing you consciously want, that part of you is like, no thanks, I don't want that. There's a lot of negative associations with getting this thing. So again, it doesn't want it. And again, this part of you is kind of weird and fucked up, so don't let that part of your mind shut all this down. It's like, how dare you suggest I like the shitty things? No one's saying that. But again, that weird fucked up part of you in particular is like, yeah, the weight, my financial problems, my single, all of this, yes, somehow that's protecting you, that's benefiting you. Yeah, let's just keep things as they are now. I'm good. I don't want any of that stuff. And for this thing, one of the most important things to think about with this issue is a lot of the stuff you might uncover, it's going to be very personal development, cliche, Psych 101 type stuff. I always like to say, emotionally speaking, we're basic bitches. We're not as complex and complicated as we think. So another thing too, when you start digging for this, a lot of the stuff you might uncover might not be these weird, obscure, weird things, this complex web of whatever. It'll just be like, oh yeah, I'm really afraid of intimacy because my parents had a really shitty marriage and I'm afraid my marriage would be shitty like that too. I've never really had a serious relationship. I don't know what that scares me, to be that open and vulnerable with somebody. My last 3 relationships were so terrible. I just feel like any other relationship is going to be just as bad. Again, that's not some weird, crazy, like mind-blowing, like, oh, that's crazy. No, Psych 101 type stuff. So again, a lot of the stuff you uncover when you start doing this, don't dismiss things that seem simple. And again, you want to see how your unwanted is serving you right now, because if you've been struggling with it for a longer time, especially, again, there's a part of you that's kind of wants it to stay this way. And again, don't get mad at that and just shut this down because you're offended by the accusation that you like the shitty stuff in your life. No, of course you don't. But a part of you, again, a weird part of you, sees a benefit to it. For example, you might be struggling with weight loss. And right now your mind Your weight is all the reasons for your problems. You feel like it's holding you back in your career. People look at you and they judge you on your appearance unfairly, and that limits opportunity in your life. You can't have a relationship because you're overweight and you're not, people don't find you attractive, all this stuff, right? So to your mind right now, your weight is the reason for all your problems. But on a deeper level, your true fear is that you're not good enough to have any of the things you want. And if you lose the weight and you still don't get the boyfriend, your career doesn't improve, people don't treat you any differently, they don't start treating you better, they don't seem to like you more or think better, more highly of you because you're thinner now, that deeper fear of, oh my God, I'm just not good enough to have any of these things. There's something wrong with me and that's why people treat me this way. And you don't want to find out that it has nothing to do with your weight. So on a conscious level, you're very unhappy with your weight and you want to lose it. But on a deeper level, the weight protects you from having to possibly face some very deep fears, having to own up to some very deep fears about yourself being proven true, right? Money. Consciously, you want money, you're struggling financially, right? On a human level, we have our financial obligations. Not having money is stressful. We want money to pay our bills. There's all these things we want to do. We want to travel and do this thing and that thing, right? We think we need money. So consciously, you want a lot of money. But on another level, you don't want the money. You might associate money with negative things, like it will complicate your life more. You have a lot of fucked up family members with money problems, and if you have money, they're going to come to you, and then you're going to have to give them money, and you don't want to. You come from the blue collar, we may not be rich, but at least we're honest type mentality, right? What are they going to think of you if you become one of those people with money? They might not like you anymore. Again, a lot of this stuff might sound very Psych 101. It might sound very cliche. It might sound that's stupid, that's silly, that's childish, this or that. But again, that part of you is kind of weird. And the stuff you find there will be weird, silly, basic, cliche, right? So again, don't dismiss it for all these reasons thinking, well, it can't be that. That must not be it. A relationship, again, there's intimacy issues because of you've observed bad relationships in your life. You might be a very independent-minded modern gal and you worry, you say you want a relationship, but you have a great career and you're living life and you have your own money and right? You don't need a man. And you worry, a part of you worries, like if you get into a relationship, what's that going to do to your career? What happens if you have kids? And what's that going to do to your career and your lifestyle? Right? All these things, right? And again, consciously, we want these things very badly. And on a true level, we probably do truly want them. But there's a part of us, again, that does not want them. So your current circumstances, they're serving you somehow. It's preferable to that part of you. It's preferable to be in these circumstances. Again, even if consciously you don't like them. On another level, they're serving you. So you want to think about right now, the unwanted, the stuff you're dealing with now that you don't like, is it serving you in any way? Is there a benefit? Illness, another example. Maybe around the time you developed a chronic illness maybe a few years ago. Around that time, you and your spouse, your marriage was a little rocky. Maybe you were on the path to breaking up. Things were rough between you two. But then you got sick. All that stuff got put on the back burner, right? And he stayed, right, take care of you. Is there a part of you that worries if you get healthy, your husband won't stick around anymore because now he won't feel obligated, he won't feel guilty, he won't feel bad, there'll be nothing keeping you together, your illness bonded you together somehow? Again, consciously, do you want to be sick? No, of course not. But on another level, your illness might be serving you. It might be the thing that you believe is preserving your marriage and you're terrified to be alone. You might realize your marriage is, you could, in some circumstances, you might very well be aware you're not a good match anymore and you'd be better off alone. But the idea of actually being alone is terrifying. And it's preferable to be in a marriage with someone that maybe it's not ideal, but you've been together a long time and it's familiar, it's comfortable. And again, healing physically is a threat to all of that. So there's a part of your mind that's like, no, let's remain sick. You'll be better off if you're sick. Another thing with illness, maybe you have some kind of illness, you can't work, you receive some sort of government money like disability or something. You don't really have to worry about earning income. You get this money. And your mind, part of your mind thinks if you get better, you're not going to be able to get this money anymore because you're going to have to work. You haven't worked in years. Even when you were working, you didn't really have many skills. You kind of worked maybe a dead-end job, a minimum wage job, whatever, right? And your mind's like, ooh, and money, right? Money fears, worrying about our money going away and then having to figure out how to earn new money. Your mind's like, getting healthy, I don't know about that, because if you get better, you're not going to get that money anymore. You're going to have to take care of yourself again. You're going to have to figure out how to earn your own money. You're going to actually have to go out and do something to get it. Yeah, no, let's just stay sick and keep getting the disability payments, right? So again, it's not being suggested you like these circumstances, but to a part of your mind, they are serving you, they're benefiting you, they're protecting you somehow. Getting the things you want, there's all sorts of negative associations that to your mind seem worse than whatever shit you're dealing with the current circumstances now. That part of your mind might recognize they're not ideal, but it's kind of the lesser of two evils if you want to think of it that way. Yeah, it sucks being sick, but I'd rather be sick than worry about money. I'd rather be sick than healthy and alone and having to find a new relationship and deal with the emotional turmoil of a marriage ending. I'd rather be overweight and think that's the reason for all my problems than lose the weight and then find out that I'm just not good enough and that's why I don't have any of the stuff I want. That's super, super painful. That's more painful than being upset that I'm overweight. See what I'm saying? So yeah, a part of your mind recognizes maybe that these circumstances are not ideal either, but the change in the circumstances, that's more not ideal. And your mind's like, if I have to pick one or the other, I'll pick what we're doing now. This is familiar. I'm used to it. We found some different ways to cope with it. We'll be okay. We'll just keep things as they are now. We don't want the new stuff. That's more problems. I don't want to do that. That's unknown. That's unfamiliar. I have all these negative associations. I don't want to deal with any of that. Let's just keep things how they are now. So that's another thing too, this part of your mind. There's a part of us that the mind is funny because as much as the mind wants to minimize our pain, there's another part of it that's very addicted to it. And we're very used to our pain. We get up every day. We don't like these circumstances, but we're used to hating ourselves because of how we look. We're used to like the struggle with the health problem and being mad at our body. We're used to the worry about money. Again, we don't like these feelings, but we're used to them. So again, there's a part of you that you're very used to the pain and you're like, yeah, I'll deal with this. It's familiar, kind of addicted to the pain. Again, this is a very weird part of us. So yeah, guys, you have to think today, if this is one of your issues, are your unwanted circumstances that you're fighting so hard against, are they actually serving you in some way? Is some part of your mind seeing a benefit to the struggle, the things you're struggling with now, to these things staying this way and not changing? And obviously, so it follows that you'd have to think about then what's so scary about the new change? The thing I consciously want, what negative associations do I have with that? And when you start getting a better idea of if this is an issue for you, it'll become very clear to you why you haven't seen any movement in your life. You're not going to manifest stuff that on a deeper level that you actually don't want. Your mind will find all sorts of ways to keep you in the situation you're in now. You'll be inspired to take actions that will sabotage you, that will further create problems in your life and further cement these issues into your life. You'll focus on all sorts of things. You'll zero in on things in your environment that feed the energy that keeps things the same. Your mind will be very good at accomplishing that goal. So this is something you want to think about. Again, don't shut it down because on the surface level it's offensive to you that you're being suggested that you are somehow happy with these things or that you truly want them. No, of course you don't. But again, on a deeper, weird, fucked up level, these situations, they're serving you, they're protecting you, they're benefiting you somehow. And if that's how your mind views them, it's not going to want to change them. So yeah, just think about that today. This is one of those human factors that are not accounted for in the theory of manifesting. And the more we understand what's happening inside, that knowledge is power. Yeah, it could be icky to look at these things, but if these energies are there, they're there, and if you truly want to see movement, then you're going to have to deal with the stuff that's keeping these things out of your existence. You don't really have a choice. You could fight it, deny it, pretend it's not there, but if the energy's there, it's there. It's just not going to go away just because you don't want to deal with it. Your feelings aren't like, oh, you're not the type of person that wants to deal with feelings and heal pain and oh, sorry, my bad, we'll go then. No, they'll stick around, they'll wait patiently for you to deal with them. So yeah, this could be an uncomfortable thing to explore, but this knowledge is very powerful for you because again, if you truly want to see certain things in your life, you're going to have to deal with the parts of you that don't want them. You're going to have to deal with that energy, deal with these lines of thinking, deal with these fears, because if you don't, they'll remain dominant And as long as that's dominating, they won't show up, because a big part of you is like, no, I don't want them, and it just closes you off to receiving them. So yeah. Are you benefiting somehow from your unwanted circumstances? Do you have any negative associations with the thing you want? And like I said earlier, don't discount the Psych 101 personal development cliche shit. There's a reason that stuff is cliche and why it's like that, right? Because there's a universal truth to it. These are very common issues that most of us as humans deal with. That's how they became cliche 101 type shit in the first place, right? So don't dismiss those things, because there's a very good chance that your biggest issues are these basic things. So yeah, when you do that digging, again, don't chuck aside all the obvious stuff because you're like, no, it must be something more complex. I know that already, or this or that, right? It doesn't matter. What we know and what's happening emotionally are two very different worlds, and what's going on down there, again, it can seem weird or silly or childish or cliche or whatever, but if that's what's happening, that's what's happening. So yeah, that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. Have a great day or night. For more information about my coaching services, products on offer, and content such as podcasts and blog posts, I can't talk, head on over to livelifemadetorder.com. Bye-bye.